Hey everyone, I just put a video together here today around compounding interest. Now, Einstein said that compounding interest was the eighth wonder of the world. Well, I haven't fact checked if he did say that or not, but it's an interesting quote anyways. Now, I've used compounding interest or savings as a plan with so much financial information running around. It's hard to know where to start, and it's really confusing, and you don't want to get paralysis by analysis or analysis by paralysis, and then people running around telling you that, a penny saved is still a effing penny, and you're not going to get rich that way. But you have to start somewhere, and it's probably one of the simplest ways that you can go about to creating wealth. And many people have actually got to millionaire status using this approach. So it's a great approach to use as just an underlying foundation on which to build all your other investments. And if you set it up correctly, then you can have this just ticking away in the background. Over time, it'll grow. It'll start off small, so patience is a massive key to this. But for someone who's done this for a number of years, once it starts to really kick into gear, you'll be amazed at the results. So let's go ahead and look at some scenarios, all to do with compounding interest. Now, I've just put a bit of a spreadsheet together. Now, I hope my face isn't covering this off. I'm not really good on the old videos like this, as it's the first time doing this sort of stuff. I was about to say crap, but probably shouldn't say that. And I've used an old scenario here, the old Tim Gurner. Now, Tim Gurner was is a millionaire developer here in Australia, and he kicked up quite a bit of controversy by saying that the reason millennials don't have or can't afford houses these days is that they spend too much money on the old cafe lattes and smashed avos. So I've whacked in these at Australian prices, and I've used per year for 260 days of the year, so saying every day of your working day, 260 days rather than the 365 would add up to $1,500 spent on cafe lattes and $4,000 odd on smashed avo. Now, this example could be used really from anything that you spend, a couple of dollars on per day, that you could cut back on. You can throw into this scenario. I know a lot of people are using things like Acorns, where you just take some spare change that you have and you put it away to invest. That's not a bad way of doing things either. And on this scenario, the average per day is around $16. So, whether you've got $16 to scrape away or not, we can run some different scenarios on it, but that's $112 per week. Now, this is at an interest rate of 8%. The reason 8% has been selected is around the historical returns that you will get on the share market. I know it's running a lot lower today, so that would have a significant effect. But when we're talking compound interest, we're really talking over the long term. All right, now I've run scenarios of 3 people. The first one, Barney. Now, what Barney does is he puts away $15.88 per day. Well, let's say each week, or whenever he gets paid, he puts the equivalent away of $112 a week, so $400 odd a month. And he does this pretty religiously for 10 years. So it starts off at 5,000. You can see it growing. Now, compound interest, the magic of that is that you are earning interest on your interest. So I like to see it as a bit of a snowball effect. So you can see he goes from 5,798, 12,000, so he's getting the interest on the interest. And then after 10 years of doing this, he's at $89,000. Now, this is assuming that he is getting that 8% return. Obviously, it's going to be a fair bit less if it's 4%. Now, people always say, whenever you run this scenario, like, oh well, yeah, that's that's $90,000 in 10 years' time. It's not going to be the same, inflation, etc. Now that's true. There is a time value of money, which is why a lot of the times people will invest a percentage of something. Like they might choose to say 15% of their salary, or 10%, or 5%, whatever that percentage would be. The faster you want to get this moving, obviously the faster you can save, the more you get the ball rolling, or that snowball effect happening. But the other thing I would say to that, if you're using a percentage, and if you're using this model, each year you'd say, well, cafe lattes in year 1 were $5.80. Year 2, they're heading up to $6. So you're factoring that back in, and that's affecting the amount. And hopefully over time you are getting your pay rises, you're getting your other streams of income happening, and a few other things along the way. So Barney's hits 90,000. Now, the interesting thing is Robin, she continues to buy her Avo Toast for 10 more years before, she wants to get out of that millennium period. She wants to maybe get into her 30s before really kicking into gear and starting her savings. So she starts in year 10. And she tucks 5,000 away in the first year with the 8%. Now, Barney doesn't put in any more money at all, whilst Robin, she continues to put in the equivalent of that $112, and she does that religiously for the next 20 years. Now, this is what I see that's really interesting. Now, Barney hasn't put a single cent in since year 10. Yet he comes up with, in this scenario, $104,000 more than Robin. So overall, he's invested over that 10 years $57,980, whilst Robin's had to put in $115,000 of her own money, and yet at the end of it, Barney's still $100,000 ahead. So you can see in that the time factor is massive. And just on a quick note, going back to the Smashed Avo debate about millennials not being able to purchase their own house due to spending their money on Smashed Avo and cafe lattes every day. It sounds good to me. If you took this scenario, after 5 years, you would have enough for a 5% deposit on a $600,000 house. But you might say, hey, there's no way I'm getting 8% interest at the moment. That is true. So you're more likely to get, if you're lucky, 1%. Because you've put that saving into place, year 5, or let's say 5.5, just to tick us over the box, there's your 5% deposit on a $600,000 house. And you've done that by putting $112 away each week. I would suggest for a lot of people they would be able to come close to that, maybe not, but anything you can put away. Even if you went half of that, you'd be looking at 9 to 10 years that you would be able to go out and purchase a $600,000 house on 5% deposit. Now, there's a whole another argument around when you should buy, what you should buy, etc. So we'll pump that interest rate back up to 8%. And you'll see over here on the graph, we've got a third player in here. Now this is Ted. Ted starts off with Barney, but where Barney tails off here after 10 years, Ted continues on that path, and he ends up with $700,000 after 30 years. So you can see there he's got almost 300 odd something thousand more than Barney, but at the same time he's put in $170,000 of his own cash. Now, putting $173,000 of your own cash to get back $700,000 doesn't seem like a bad option to me. Now you see the magic of time and compounding interest coming together. Now, and if you play that right, you can reverse engineer that and play around with it and see how you can use that to easily take yourself to a very conservative $1 million without too much stress. You just build it into the way you go about things. And yeah, the best way to do it is just set it up as an automatic thing, so you don't miss the money. So if you get a pay rise, you slowly increase the percentage, you tuck that away before you can even touch it, and that just ticks away in the background. You don't want to look at it every day because that'll drive you insane, but you just have it there. And then as time goes by, and it does go by rather quickly, you can look back and say, well, at least I've got something stashed. It's way better to start with this than waiting around for the next get rich thing. Just put something into action, lay that down as a foundation, and then you can jump on your get rich schemes, you can jump on all your other investments, and knowing that you've got this strong foundation. All right, cheers. Thanks for that.